Attention Rio Grande Valley poker players. The $60,000 guaranteed Trailblazer Poker Tour is coming to Texas Card House RGV from December 19th through December 29th. $175 buy-in. Tons of great perks for playing at this tour stop. Flights at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. every day except Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. For full details, structure, and more, visit TexasCardHouse.com.
All right, what's going on, everybody? It's TCH Live, and we've got a special final table here going on at TCH Social in Austin. 500K guarantee PokerAtlas main event, $600 buy-in, and all of these players are going to be playing for a tidy sum, just about $87,000 up top. So really looking forward to this one. I'm Aaron McAvoy, hanging out with you here in Austin, and joining me here on the call is Mr. Michael Perroni, joining us from Las Vegas, where he's out there playing the WPT main event, as well as, you know, is playing some of the other events as well. So, Michael, how you doing, man? Welcome to the stream.
Hey, Aaron. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate being here.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, we've got a lovely lineup, as we've got 3 ladies in here and a couple of local faces, people that I know quite well, that I've played with a lot. Evelyn there works here at TCH Social in Austin, as we're going to get a lovely view of the back of the PokerAtlas banner. And then we've got also Kim Stone over there as well in the 7th seat, going by Texas Kim here. She is going to be starting with only 13 big blinds, but she is going to do her best to spin that up. As I mentioned to her when I came in that you were joining me on the call, and she was like, oh, great. You know, she was very familiar with you as, you know, of course, your recent finish, 3rd place there at the Choctaw main event. She was there on the rail.
Evelyn was?
Kim,
Stone.
Kim was. Yes.
Kim, of course, yeah. Yeah, she had nice things to say to me after I bowed out. She was rooting on our friend RV Phil.
Yep, she sure was. Brought him all the way to the finish line with her support. So.
Talking him through some stuff. Seemed like she was coaching him. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so hand number 1 underway. Aggie Chris here opening it from the hijack. King Queen suited, and big blind does not defend. And with that,
wow.
Rita here is going to be in the big blind. So we do have Rita D coming in with 6 big blinds, and she will be in the big blind now. So I think that certainly may have factored into Frank's decision there. But off of 32 bigs, I think King Queen O is a very unusual, you know, just not defend, just let it go.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of hand, right? I totally get making big folds with someone in the danger zone, but little tight.
In the cards, right?
Yeah. All right, let's take a look over here at the chat, as we got a bunch of folks already tuned in here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We've got Henry, Dory, Ben, D. Evans. What's going on, guys? Welcome in.
Free raise 200,000. Then our faded spade cards. These actually do pretty good.
So we'll get a look at the chip count sort of as we go around the table here, but from what I gather, we have sort of a chip leader up in the 70, almost 80 big blinds kind of area here. Emmanuel coming in with just shy of 80 big blinds. Then there's sort of a plateau. A lot of players in the 30 to 40 big blind range, and really only a couple of players in the danger zone. Rita there on the 6 big blinds to start, of course, in the big blind this hand. And then Kim also fortunate to start behind the button there, or on the button even, but she's starting with just 13 big blinds as well.
What an incredible format for these players. $600 buy-in and dealing with upcoming 1-hour levels, 40 big blind average stack. Like, we're settled in. We're here for they have a lot of play here to experience this final table.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely expect something in the sub 1K buy-in, and even up at 1K buy-ins these days, you know, to have, you know, 30, maybe 40-minute levels at the final table with plenty of just like, all right, everybody has 15 bigs, let's shove and find out who comes out on top, right?
Sure.
right, Ben says, thanks for commentating. Well, absolutely. We're happy to be here again. I'm Aaron McAvoy here in Austin, and Michael Perroni joining us remote from Las Vegas. I'll have to get an update on your main event here as we're playing that out in Vegas. Going back for day 2 tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Got some chips in a bag.
Chips in a bag. That is what we all aspire to, and what all of these players did for a third day after playing through day 2 yesterday. Folds to Frank and releases the button with the 9-8-0. Rita here is going to commit all of her chips for about 4 big blinds total. She just went through the blind. And Manny, who is the chip leader, takes a look at those cards. What do you think? For 3 additional big blinds, Mike, do you want to look at your cards, or are you just sticking those chips in there?
So this is such a fun situation, right? Because, you know, we're dealing with the chip leader into the short stack. And as far as chips are concerned, you know, easy call with, I mean, you could probably just not look and flick it in. But, man, if I'm him, I am so incentivized to keep Miss Rita in the tournament and keep all these other players sweating that ladder. It's only going to make, you know, our position as chip leader more powerful if we can keep those short stacks in, fighting against one another and keeping all the other players on lock. I would probably fold with a lot of really disgusting hands. I mean, I might get really abusive with it and fold really. I might play it really tight.
Sure. Yeah, and that's, I think, an aspect of final table play that a lot of players don't have experience with.
I know I'm getting called, so I have
there's kind of this idea of like any opportunity you have to knock someone out, you seize it, and maybe you even go lighter than you normally would just because, you know, there's that pay jump implication. But exactly what you said about being the chip leader, not being in danger, like no one can knock you out. You do get a lot of additional power by keeping
like I think if I'm in like 4th or 5th and that happens, I'm calling. But as chip leader, it's so annoying as another player to watch the chip leader like not, quote, you know, do his job, so to speak. There's a lot of metagame to be had for keeping these stacks in play and you know, allowing yourself to lean on everyone else. Because the ladder doesn't mean nearly as much as the amount of pressure you can apply long term.
Very true. And Frank here, we did see him fold the king-queen from the big blind, presumably because Rita was about to be in the big blind the next hand, didn't want to find himself in a weird spot, you know, out of position, playing against a player that covered him. And, you know, if that mentality is sort of permeating the table, indeed, you know, we could see a lot of abuse here from Manny, or maybe even Scotty, or you know, Mr. Aggie Chris.
Yeah, on Aggie Chris, I think he's 3 for 3 for showing the table what he had when he opened. So maybe trying to set a tone as an honest player early, but keeping it friendly.
Yeah, for sure. And Aggie Chris, a dealer from Texas Card House up in Dallas, down here to play this event. And bingo, final table, baby. Let's go.
Wonderful. Do we have any background info on his tournament acumen?
That I do not know. So we may be able to, you know, sort of acquire some information through the grapevine, as I did just hear that right before we got started. Of course, we've also got Evelyn here folding right now, the ace 3-0 from UTG2. She works the floor here, or excuse me, the front desk here at TCH Social in Austin. So we got a couple of the employees making deep runs here.
Great. Why aren't you at this final table, Aaron?
Well, so I will tell you, I didn't even play the event, so not possible for me to final table.
Swing and a miss for me, but you know, I gotta shoot all my shots, you know.
Yeah. Well, had I played it, obviously, I would have to have been here at this final table. But yes, we will take a look at the different players and get an update here on Mr. Aggie Chris. As it stands, though, Texas Kim committing 2.5 of her 12.5 big blinds with the ace queen. Elon making the call from the small blind here. Queen 9 off of a little over 20 bigs. And Scotty will complete from the big blind. So we're going to go 3 waves here.
This is interesting. What a window. Oh, man.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for Kim as top pair effective top kicker is going to be pretty strong with SPR1.
Yeah, this is rather ominous, deflating for Kim. I don't know how you get away from this with this
Yeah, I can see the
with this
union
stack.
using. To me, it just feels like it ought to be like I.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting, right? Because right now she's in value mode, right? You flop top pair, queen kicker. Oh, never mind. She's just all in.
Yeah, I mean, she's just going in, I think. So much in there to pick up.
I did not.
Yeah, my thought was like your multi-way, you know, small blind is probably just like super dust here.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, got a little piece of it on the turn. Additional outs, but that is going to be Texas Kim bowing out first.
Bummer.
Place.
GG's, Kim. Better luck next time. Sometimes there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, that is definitely the case there. And we'll take a peek here. So Kim going to be going home $8,740 in the pocket. And yeah, just a tough spot there. Nothing to be done for Kim. Definitely feel that one. But the next player to go out going to be laddering up to 11,060 here. So Rita, for one, loving that.
Because we don't have a spot for it.
Right.
Nice hand.
Absolutely.
Nice flop.
Yeah. That is
Only upside for Rita right now.
Yeah, exactly. She's behind the button. She's got a few more hands before she gets clobbered by the blinds. And yeah, just laddered up about $3,000. And so now Scotty here chips up to a spot that, you know, claims a pretty solid second place here as far as the chip stacks go. And we'll see if, you know, his position to the left of the chip leader sort of gives him the opportunity to kind of, you know, push the action when the chip leader gets out of the way.
Box 7. Seat 7 should be box 6.
All right, so we did get an update from Cooper there in Dallas that Aggie Chris hit back-to-back first-place finishes for over 20K this time last year. So looks like the Christmas time run good is good for Aggie Chris.
550,000.
Looks like Evelyn's 3-betting here, about 2.5x. Looks like 550. Yeah.
8-fold, 9-fold, 1-fold, 2-fold.
That nice lady messing up my pot odds.
3-fold,
Save me a buck.
4-fold.
I like the sizing. I think she can go up to as much as 3x, but versus an early position open from mid, this is suitable. It's going to read as very strong, of course.
5 call. Heads up.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, something for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, favorable flop for New, but Evelyn, of course, picking up the spade flush draw here and 1.3 in the middle. So
Interesting decision here, right? Like we have a board that obviously favors the 3-better,
6 check.
but New's range is going to be pretty snug. He's going to have a lot of ace-x. You know, of course, like it's a board that Evelyn may want to bet with her range, but her hand specifically may prefer checking.
yeah,
6 bet. 250,000.
and a delayed tickle here on the turn. 1/5, not even 1/5 pot.
Yeah, I'm
Sort
not
of
sure.
Trying to maybe secure like a cheap showdown.
It seems it. Yeah, it's almost like a little stun grenade, right? Like if we throw a little bit out there, it's gonna be really hard for our opponent to donk larger. You're kind of setting the price. But you know, when he continues, I think you're always beat.
5 check.
And now if she bets again, I'd like to see bigger, but that's not gonna do it.
Yeah, yeah, maybe like some,
And a call. 5 call.
you know, sort of alternate universe where like pocket tens with the 10 of spades calls you on the turn, and you get to
Right.
showdown the winner, and you're really, really happy about that. But yeah, going for another value bet of that size, it just isn't going to work out for you very frequently. And yeah, like you said, I think maybe turning the jacks into a big bluff like would have been an interesting play, but
But especially when the board pair is like, and as played on the flop, I think it makes Evelyn's range really, really polar if she goes big on river, and almost like unbelievable where she's just getting called by better a lot. Hands aren't really defined with the way the hand played out. Her opponent's range isn't as well defined because of how passive it was, but regardless, saves herself from ruin in what could have otherwise been a big all-in situation. So,
yeah, for sure. All right, Frank here, looking at the nines, early position.
Eight raised, 250,000.
and all these players have been leaning towards a 2.5x open or more, which is seems kind of big for today's standards. Everyone's kind of shifting towards that small ball approach. As the stack sizes as played, I think it's fine. But something to consider is just in any situation, in a live scenario, I think you just want to get a pulse for what the baseline is, right? As a table, sometimes whoever sets the first open kind of sets the price for how everyone else follows suit. So it's just important to see if people are deviating smaller or larger from what they're usually raising.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ace queen here consistently hitting the top pair. Of course, didn't work out for Kim the first time around. Third time is again the charm. New here makes top pair. Queen kicking once again, back-to-back hands. And Frank will check it back with the nines. Makes a lot of sense here. And 5 of hearts now. We'll see if New wants to take over as the better now. Still going with the check. And yeah, there's always the interesting aspect of, right, like when we tune in for a final table, we don't really know the backstory of how much these players have played together. Sometimes, all these players have sort of gotten here via different routes, day 1A, day 1C, day 1D. Day 2, maybe not really playing much with each other all the way until the very end, just right before bagging. Sometimes things like that will happen. So sometimes you're still trying to feel out your opponents, even at this stage of the tournament as well. Check call from New, now picks up top 2 and checks once again. What do you think for Frank here after betting turn? You just really getting after it?
No, honestly, man, I would probably. It's hard because obviously the nines fill in the straight as far as blockers are concerned. But when he decides to check flop on a board that he should probably be betting a lot, I think he doesn't really have enough. He hasn't told a strong enough story to bluff river. Which results-wise, he saved himself a lot of money considering his opponent had top 2. But I think a flop bet can be justified early position versus big blind. Clear out a lot of value. Big blind should theoretically be continuing with some 8x. So you actually even are ahead if some continues. But he's going to have a lot of gut shots and a lot of diamond draws that are going to have to call and can't really raise because the board is so strong for the original raiser. And then it opens up more opportunities for continuing to barrel if you're under the gun.
Sure.
So,
yeah, like then those nines sort of turn into a gut shot, and you're like, all right, I'm never good, but we can maybe get our way through this with the
correct,
right?
Correct. Yeah, it makes for a better story, right?
Yeah. Well, so far so good for New and the lucky horseshoe. I was talking to him before the stream started, and he literally found that horseshoe this morning. Brought it with him to the final table. And
I was about to bring that up. I was gonna make some joke about TCH not having rules against RTA, but like they allow horseshoes just blatantly on the table here. What, that doesn't seem fair.
I mean, as long as it's out in the open for everybody to see, not crammed into the nethers, it's sort of like open carry. He's open carrying the horseshoe here.
Oh man. Well, if he accumulates any more chips, he's gonna have to upgrade to a bigger horseshoe.
Run out of room there. No, he'll just have to go vertical.
Pretty tight in there, yeah.
All right, so Manny exercising what is still the biggest stack, opening the low jack, and Evelyn defends the big blind with the ace-10. Both players picking up a gutty. Jack would be absolutely disgusting. This is definitely a board that Manny can attack.
175,000.
I have to see half pot here. What do you got for?
Goes for the under 1/3, 175.
I guess, yeah, small's okay. I thought it was two-tone. Small's fine.
6 call.
You can probably mix. Love to continue. Good job, Evelyn.
And yeah, spicy card on the turn. As now it'll be tricky for Manny to represent value, but he's got the chip lead, he's got that gut shot, and I mean, Evelyn can definitely just be in here with like a random 4. She can be in here with a sort of similar hand to what he's holding. And not gonna continue to hammer away here. Free river card, ace high, gonna be good at showdown if we get there. Now we'll see how we navigate the river. Both players bricking out on their immediate draw. Manny just shuts it down completely, and Evelyn gets to take it down with the ace high. Let's go.
Nice pickup for her. I'm sure she's thrilled with that outcome to not have to face more pressure. It's an interesting spot on the turn, right? Because in theory, I think it's an easy fire one more. You don't even have to go big. You can go like a third to half pot there when the top card pairs. But if you're playing against an opponent that you think is only continuing with a king or a queen, and you're already dealing with a middling chip stack at a final table, it almost could just feel like a complete torch to put another shell in.
That's true, but gosh, you get to leverage Rita's stack, right? Like,
oh,
even
of course,
if she just has a good queen over there, you could just absolutely fire up the bulldozer. And
yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for applying pressure and just hoping, and if you're just banking on getting your opponent to fold a queen, but it is scary. You have to really know your opponent, I think, in that situation.
Well, no matter how you shake that one out, Evelyn going to be very pleased to pick up a nice million chip pot with the ace high out of position. New here, coming in with the small chips, going to take it up to 250. Again, the 2.5 sizing is the preferred choice.
I did him so dirty yesterday.
And one hand to go until Rita is back in the big. Frank here looking at a suited one gapper. This makes a lot more sense to me as just like a pitch in and like shrug whatever. I don't get to realize this equity than the king queen that we saw earlier. Mitchell A joining us here in the chat. Did Kim bust already? Unfortunately, she did. First one out, got her 13 blind stack in with top pair, top kicker, and ran into flop bottom set. Tough spot.
Look at the camera and go.
I just did a little lookup on Evelyn Martinez, and if this is the same, this is the same one from New Mexico, allegedly.
I think that's right.
This current score will eclipse her total live earnings.
Let's go, Evelyn.
This is her breakout. This is her moment. Love to see her playing well, looking poised. Let's see how this shakes out. But her current total Hendon Mob earnings are around $7,000, and she's guaranteed what, around 11 right now?
Yeah, yeah. Next player out, going to take just a smidge over 11. Pull that
Wonderful.
up after the hand, but yeah, just
6 raise, 200.
smashing the all-time earnings here. And I mean, Evelyn already a fixture here in the room at TCH Social in Austin, and maybe she'll be a fixture at the tables as well for all of our upcoming tournaments. She comes away with the dub.
9 call.
All right, here's a raise, 2.5. Rita makes the call from the big blind. She's going to see a flop before she commits the rest of her chips. And wow, 3 kings.
That is a racist flop.
We 3 kings of Orient are. Let's take it a different direction.
Oh,
I don't know.
That is a very timely holy flop, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know where your head is at. My goodness, Mike. Wow, look at this turn, though. Rita drills the boat. And what was almost assuredly a chop pot is now going to be Rita trying to get the double up.
Yeah, this is annoying if you're Evelyn.
6
Tragic. The bad news.
And
But not tragic for Rita.
I made that
Big
one
win.
joke one time when I
Yeah.
king.
Big pickup.
You wear the minute
The
sheets.
deuce from space right there on the turn, and now she's got 12 big blinds here for the remainder of this level. And she's just gone through the blind, so I believe we're probably going to level up after the button passes her. So just about the best possible result for Rita there.
I knew it, but I was like, for a 2
So it's
or
Evelyn that
5,
works in the room, not Rita?
either the
Oh,
ace
yeah.
or the 5.
Yes,
so it was
Evelyn, who is in the 6th seat.
like, no.
Great. That's
Yes.
awesome.
And then I would have been like, would I have ever hit it?
Maybe not the ace, but the 5.
I know, but I was hoping.
The ace we could have chopped. I mean, I was
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah, that's
The
why I
ace
was
or the
like-
king does nothing. It's only the 5.
Mitchell here says seat 4, DFW TCH dealer. Yeah, absolutely right. Aggie Chris runs hot in December, but he's not going to try with the queen jack off. Lets that one go.
5 4. 6 4.
And yeah, we've got an interesting sort of dynamic here, right? Opening into the chip leader's big blind. Everyone just sort of clearing out of the way. And Rita D will follow suit.
Come on.
Show the ace of spades.
Told you, if I don't have it, I can't do anything. You're calling me no matter what, if you have anything.
All right, so day 2 of the WPT main tomorrow. 10K buy-in, and you've got a pretty healthy stack. How are you feeling about your table draw and just your overall situation tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good. It's I'm notorious for having to fire every day one flight or not really get too many days off in between. So it's been nice to just hang out here with you and take it easy today.
Not really.
My full table's not filled up in the updates. I'm assuming they're going to fill it in with a lot of players from with that bag up today. But I come in with a good chip position, and you know I think we get 90-minute levels on day 2, which is just eternity. So I'm just going to take it one hand at a time, and I'm feeling good. I had a really enjoyable day of poker on day 1. It was a blast, honestly.
Nice.
Yeah, always a pleasure to play
I want to watch it, but
at the win, and
I'm one of those old school guys.
you know, WPT ran a really good product, and it was I had a lot of friends out here, and just was really really enjoying the moment. You know, I don't get to travel all that much with my kid at home, and it was a pleasure. So just gonna take it and see what happens. I'm gonna see what comes my way.
For sure. Well, with 90-minute levels, and what I presume is, you know, sort of an average, got to be up around like 60 big blinds. Should be quite a grind before you guys hit the money bubble tomorrow.
Yeah, so I think at least in my flight, we finished with about a third of the field. So maybe I think the average was maybe like 280,000. So I think we're gonna return to 6K big blind. Which
Okay, so maybe more like 45 then. Okay.
Yeah, but with, you know, like you said, 90-minute levels, it could be really slow, and you know, I'm guessing that in 2 or 3 levels we'll hit the money. So we shall see.
All right. Well, best of luck to you. Manny here going to release the 9-4 suited. And Elon gets a walk with the 8 high.
You didn't play the main, right? You came out for the prime.
Yeah, just the prime. Unfortunately, had to go to my grandmother's 90th birthday party. Not unfortunately, but as far as poker playing goes, I was not able to play anything. But yeah, was just out there in Colorado. Got to see aunts, uncles, cousins, you know, little kiddos running around all over the place. It was a really wonderful time. So yeah, had to skip the main and skip any of the other festivities, such as this event. But I made it back just in time to hop on the call with you, and here we are.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I was looking. My next couple months look like Choctaw again in January, and I think I'm gonna make it to Austin end of February for some Texas poker. So
excellent. All right. Well, I look forward to that, and
yeah,
I'll probably see you up there in Choctaw.
Yeah, the schedule looks great. They added a bunch of bigger stuff.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
All right, Manny's button here. He's going to open the Queen 3 suited for 2 1/4. And Scotty here, second in chips. Looking at the Queen 5 disconnected big blind here.
So I think it's interesting to see Manny go small here, and I think that if it's doing its job, if people are folding to the small raise, then you should always just risk the minimum that you have to get the job done. Theoretically, when he's raising into another large stack, I think there's some incentive to raise larger, to apply more pressure, to build a pot, kind of give yourself more leverage. Yeah, but totally fine. He could have in the big blind could have considered 3-betting the Queen 5-0, which is kind of nasty, but
yeah, I mean certainly deep stacked and chip EV only. Yeah, Queen 5 makes it in there at a pretty high clip to just sort of attack that button opening range. But yeah, in this scenario, Rita pretty short over there, and you just yeah, I think the the 3-bet frequency there goes down by a lot. If you're even considering it to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Mitchell wants to know who's in the booth with me. Well, that is Mr. Michael Peroni joining us actually from the bright and flashy Las Vegas. So got to get back to work tomorrow,
Back at the tables tomorrow.
All right, another ace king high flop, 2-tone. Aggie Chris here with a whole lot of not much. And hand number 14 goes by the wayside. Tricky spot here for Elon, sandwiched between the 2 chip leaders, but did find a way to pick up some chips on the button there. And retains, sort of a position there. Double the shortest stack, but certainly down at the bottom of the overall leaderboard here.
We're starting to see some separation from our top 3 players and the rest, with Rita bringing up the tail. But again, with 1-hour levels here, these players have some time to really be choosy about their spots.
Yeah, we will get that level up here any moment now. And, we were playing out the rest of the 50K, 100K level. And from there, going to 75, 125. So a little bit of an interesting in-betweener as well. Not going straight up to 75, 150.
That is a structure. That is really... We're sparing no expense on the structure.
Yeah. So the PokerAtlas Tour, of course, a staple at our Texas Card House locations. Mr. Justin Hammer is running the show here, running tournament director duty. And so, yeah, can credit him for these extra levels for these players.
It's great. Very, very player-friendly structure, I would say. Alexis Martinez in the chat. Let's go, Mom. Evelyn.
Yeah,
Evelyn's rail has arrived.
let's go. Yeah, I think there's a healthy contingent of railbirds here for Evelyn, as she is, of course, a fixture here in the room and very popular. As wow, what a turn card here. Of course, it does bring in the flush, but both players now with the top pair on the turn.
I see.
2-bet, 300,000.
I like the size here by Elon.
Yeah. Getting that max value here, and really, you know, sort of any texture changing cards that come on the river, just an easy check back. But the 3 of hearts, not really one of those. We'll see if we get another value bet here.
Yeah, the benefit with going even larger on the turn is it would have set up a really smooth all-in. But this is great too.
Yeah, half pot here on the end.
This is great with Elon's like remaining stack. You know, I think in theory we'd go bigger, but betting smaller here is just so great because he can balance it with a lot of his like ace X of clubs, king X of clubs that he started semi-bluffing with on the turn. And it's just a really favorable price for a lot of queen X and jack X if you're new.
Yeah, and this feels like a very strong line, right? If you're new, you're like, all right. I mean, you don't have a ton of chips, but just bet here. And I've got top pair, so
it checked through on the flop, right?
Yeah, I believe it was check flop.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, like I think generally speaking, when boards go check on the flop, populations tend to over bluff and go too small on like bet turn, bet river. Where I feel incentivized to call lighter. You know, maybe even with some ace high in spots like that. Player dependent, of course, but yeah, just from the sake of him not having a lot of chips behind it, it looks pretty strong when someone's willing to commit a third of their stack on the river. But it's just enough that, you know, it makes you curious enough to look them up, right?
Oh, definitely. Especially, I mean, anytime you turn top pair too, and you're like, oh, well, you know, I think I'm doing pretty good here. We got a question about what's up top, and yes, indeed, let's go ahead and take a quick look at that, as we've got one player down already. Kim Stone taking her leave, 87.40 in the pocket there. Next player going out going to be $11,060 richer. But first place, what everybody has their eye on, $87,510, and the trophy. All right, we're going multi-way here. 3 players going to take a peek at a flop here as Scotty raises the cutoff, gets called on the button and from the big blind. Evelyn here rolling the dice a little bit. The 9-5-0, going to see if she can drill a flop. Does not. Neither does anyone else, though.
3-bet, 175,000.
And Scotty with the hood up is going to continue for a small size, and I like it. Sure enough, the tickle gets through. Scotty wins with the worst of it. Everybody playing a pretty rough high card.
Blinds are up this hand. 75,000 small blind, 125,000 ante, 125,000 big blind.
And there we go. So the level is up. We've got now 60 minutes at this level, 125K for the big blind and the ante. And that'll put Rita D down under 10 big blinds, roughly 9. But still some decent depth here, right? Like if you're the middle of the pack, you've got 40K or something, right? I mean, you're over 30 big blinds. Let's get the 40K, 4 million. You're over 30 big blinds. And so there's not a lot of just like immediate pressure of, you know, going through a round of blinds or maybe even two and feeling like, uh-oh, I just got crippled.
Yeah, absolutely right. In ICM land, it's still, when you have that, I think what's even more important when making decisions based on the money versus just chips, it has way more to do with the disparity between stacks than it does what the actual stacks are. So, you know, just the fact that you have one person that's so much shorter, with sub 15, really still I think disincentivizes a lot of these middling stacks. They're very content to just opt out and avoid any sort of collisions. You know, but there's also, you know, for those that have the guts, there's space to be made for kind of vying for that inside lane as we move forward in the tournament. Ace is here for Miss Evelyn, the hometown hero.
Yeah, she clicks it up from the small blind here. And she did this earlier, right? We saw one of the first hands. It was open at 250 and she made it 550. I think there she was in position. She's going to do it out of position as well. And new is just like, whatever that is, I don't want to even see a flop.
Yeah, that is absolutely terrifying if you're new on the button. I don't even care that you're kind of connected and suited. Like that's a major red flag when she goes so small there out of position.
I've always hated that rule.
Yeah, I think if you're, you know, one of the top two stacks, you probably just like shrug and put the chips in to be like, all right, let's drill a flop and like stack whatever that is. But
oh yeah, oh yeah,
I think the fold is perfectly reasonable there.
100%.
With that, Evelyn will chip up over 25 big blinds.
One fold. Two fold. Three fold.
And yeah, so the incredible thing is too here, right? So we go from 50, 100 to 75, 125. We still have the 75, 150 level coming next as well. So,
yeah, it's incredible. I mean, you're essentially saying, I mean, that's with the structure, you're essentially saying that for 2 hours, the anti-structure isn't really going to change all that much. You know, I think the players, I doubt there's a 175 level, so the players are really going to feel that jump to 200 big line. But for now, you know, it's fairly slow progression for these players.
Heads up.
Yeah, and by the time they actually hit that jump, presumably we will have had an elimination and the stack average will have increased. But Rita D here defends her big blind against the large open size at that. It was 325, so not quite a full 3x, but definitely 2.5 plus. Aggie Chris just going to power this through with another wager. Queen high, good. The ace 9 goes in the muck, and Rita there potentially missing out on an opportunity to just stuff all her chips in free. Ace 9-0 on 9 bigs with one already committed in the ante. What do you think there, Mike?
I'm sorry, you cut out mid-sentence. Can you repeat?
Oh, so Rita D there started the big blind. She had one committed in the ante and 8 behind with one posted. Ace 9-0 with an open there from Aggie Chris. Sort of, I guess he was low jack? Hijack? You ever just stuffing it there with the ace 9? I mean, you're kind of the...
Tough. I mean, I think theoretically, yes, if you're sitting in the seat and Aggie Chris has shown, he showed like 3 or 4 hands in a row that were all like ace, you know, all blackjack plus, like good aces. I wouldn't be thrilled in the big blind, but you know, I think in theory you can probably just get it in.
Yeah.
Maybe
it was a large open, right? Like the problem that I saw there was that she called the 325. She had 125. She calls 325, and then has to fold.
Oh. Yeah, I would much prefer an all-in versus a call and fold, I think.
Yeah.
And here I would much prefer a jam
One raise, all in.
to a defend.
I knew you were going to do that.
Thank you.
I'd still like to see her call here.
Yeah, not quite.
If she's going to limp here, if I'm limping here, I'm not limping the fold, I'm limping the call.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still just prefer jamming with the 2 big blind instant pickup.
Yeah, it's sort of the difference between like limp calling off against King 7 suited versus like jamming and having, you know,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
You know, maybe King 7 suited isn't maybe the right
I
hand
didn't
combination
use
there, but
it
like if
anyway.
he is just going to like jam any sort of disconnected but
Shove there, I
high
can't
card
call there.
against the
Or I
limp,
could,
but
I
where
don't.
if she jams, then he'll just fold it and she doesn't have to sweat the equity.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my bad.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
Well, Rita D lamenting her decision as she is now down to about 4.5 big blinds here.
Small blind.
Down but not out. What started
Yeah.
as a very chatty table has gotten a little bit more serious now that the blinds have increased.
3
And
fold. 4 fold.
people have settled in.
5 fold.
Wow, Evelyn has been looking at some premiums. Jacks early, then aces a moment ago. Back to the jacks now.
6 raise, 325,000.
And again, we have not seen any of this sort of min-click open sort of sizing.
Yeah, this
Always
is a bit.
little
This
extra.
is big. You know, I was talking to a friend and coach of mine that you actually know,
You push that out.
and
About these yesterday.
he was talking to me about how
To me yesterday, I
at
swear
final
it was 3
tables,
of them.
you're
You
a
remember?
lot of like middling stacks are incentivized to actually
Yeah, I
increase
can
their
see
bet
it now.
size
I
when
don't
it
know
comes
what.
to playing
I know,
against
but I
a
was-
leader, just because
They're yellow.
you know anytime you're in a post flop
Huh?
situation, your risk of
Avocado, yeah.
your risk premium or your
Or
risk
70s is what I
of
call it.
70s.
Yeah.
you have to fold more
Yeah,
because of
avocado stuff.
the value of being
Yeah, I don't see
eliminated.
yellow.
70s
but-
Makes it really tough to navigate post flop,
Yeah,
but you
all
just
the
want to
chips are yellow.
disincentivize people from
Yes.
entering altogether,
I don't know
Sure.
why. It just
which I thought was interesting. I don't know in reality how much it
Right.
would
you know
be
what it might be?
effective,
It
but
might be because of the white.
when I see these large opens, it
Color
just had me
background,
thinking about the
brighter lights
conversation.
right on 'em.
Yeah.
Something I haven't really considered for my own game. I kind of stay pretty
4 fold.
consistent in the late stages with my open size.
No,
but-
that looks maroon.
They don't play.
That looks aging
Sure.
maroon.
I think that is though
Okay.
something that I've seen pretty
Tony Frogs.
consistently, particularly in the small to middling buy-in tournaments, is that you will have
6
a
fold.
lot of these larger opens, 3x, maybe even 4x.
Yeah.
It's
Not
well, and it's
necessarily
inter-
at this stage of the tournament, but you know what I'm saying, right?
yeah, and it's I think it's one of those things that maybe
Nine
recreational
solid.
players are accidentally doing correctly. You know, the problem comes that is when I see that happen, I end up interpreting it as like weakness, like they don't want action.
Heads up.
So I'm tempted sometimes to
Clips, 10 of spades.
put pressure on them.
Sure.
All in situation here for Rita, her patience is paying off when she scores the double with the ace 10.
2 pair.
Let's
Ace
go.
five.
Back up over 10 big blinds. That's almost 11 there for Miss Rita.
575,000.
Yeah, back to where she was before
That's
the
why I
blinds
didn't
went
call
through
you
her.
Raleigh with my ace 5.
There it is.
But yeah, so
You didn't call him?
when I hear that in theory
There too, man.
you should be
Probably,
raising bigger
but
against chip
I could
leaders
shove with it, I
when
couldn't
ICM's
call with it.
involved, it's like, you know, I think it just becomes very player dependent and like in a live
So I said
scenario,
it was my
very
mistake for not shoving
very
first.
meta as far as, you know, how are people normally playing versus what you're facing in that
Huh?
moment.
With ace 5,
Um,
my hand, I was okay.
I see larger raises and I read it as semi strong but also scared.
Mhm.
So it just depends on the player in that situation.
Yeah, and how many times too do you see like the difference between a large open size and a large 3-bet size like really sort of dictate what the opponent is working with, right? And
5 fold.
yeah, like sometimes someone will just like standard open, maybe like 2.3 or something, and then someone just like makes it 10x, and you're like, whoa, like
Right.
what's going on over there? Everyone
Right.
folds, and they just like slap jacks down face up on the table, and are like, oh, I'm glad everyone folded.
I see the 10x, and then it's aces, and it's like, oh,
yeah, that too.
you know,
It is tough. You never know what you're up against.
it's tough. And the less experience you have in these spots, the pressure's real. Well, especially if it's your first time on a live stream, people are watching. There's history of how you've played, and people don't want to look dumb in front of their friends and family, or the random people that comment on these videos on the internet.
Oh yeah.
But there's definitely
twin sister.
definitely some nerves that can come into play when people are making these decisions, and sometimes just pushing everyone out of the way so you can just take it down then and there is appealing.
Absolutely. Well, Aggie Chris there does indeed push his opponent out of the way. Looking down at the pocket tens in the big blind, punishes the limper. And now we'll have Mr. New in the big blind, who's got some family watching here on the internet, I do believe. The brother-in-law of a regular face here around TCH, Mr. Chase, who is also fighting for his spot in the semifinals in our fantasy football league tonight. So, gonna have to keep an eye on the app and see how his players, or rather his opponent's players, are doing.
6 raised, 325,000.
Okay.
8 full.
Yeah, the big sweat here tonight. We got the Vikings, a couple of players for Mr. KJ, trying to take Chase out of the playoff picture.
3 full.
Nice. When I was preparing to join y'all on the live stream today, the city's electric with my hotel's electric with Falcons fans right now. Coming out to fight the Raiders here at Allegiant.
5 full.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good game, all things considered, as Evelyn here is going to look at another premium holding, the pocket tens here, going to raise it up and take it down. But yeah, I mean, both the Falcons and the Raiders sort of struggling as of late. The Raiders, of course, far and away from the playoffs, but the Falcons with a real shot at it. I don't know. Tonight's game could actually be a real banger, as sort of the Raiders fight for a little bit of pride, and the Falcons are there to try to cling to their playoff hopes.
Yeah.
Rainathan wants to know what the payouts are. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you. The next player going out is going to take home $11,060, but first place and the trophy, $87,510 going to the winner. All right, Frank here, who has dwindled under 20 big blinds, is going to raise small here.
I don't like this with Frank. I think this is playing with fire.
1 full. 2 full. 3 full. 4 call.
I think you just from early position, the threes are an easy fold.
5 full.
Honestly, in both Chip EV and ICM, I would just fold it.
I agree. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's you're just too likely to run into higher pairs with so many people behind, and ironically, he's pipped by 1 here. But
and how often do you see this flop as well, or something similar to it, where you're just like nowhere near it?
Yeah, of course. Like there really aren't any good flops to see, and you're in a chip position where you're just going to get pressured out of the hand so often. But a bet here would get the job done.
I think that's right. Yeah, just 250.
Yeah,
right there.
That's honestly, I know it sounds counterintuitive because he has threes, but that flop is pretty much as good as it gets for Frank, given his range.
Yep.
And the return on betting, even just like as small as 20%, like throw in 200K, I think it's just going to get the job done a lot of the time. It's going to fold out all of the underpairs to the jack. It's going to fold out a bunch of overcards and deny equity. So
5 chip.
Yeah, this is sort of playing out worst case scenario where we're gonna just take our showdown value and lose to 1 pip higher. At least
Yeah, and
as
this, you know, this run out, he even as played, I think he could still get away with putting a little bet out there. You know, you just think about what Aggie Chris is flatting on the button there
Sevens are
with,
good,
and
sir.
it's so
Like
many
adjusted.
middling
Watch
pairs.
pair.
You're good.
Showdown.
You know, of
Pair
course,
force.
there's going to be a lot of Queen X in there, but
That was close.
you just
I
have no
got
way.
just-
You have no
got
way of
sevens on.
winning if you let it. If you
I
check this
just should
through.
have bet earlier, that's all.
down.
All right, little misstep there, but still
That
hanging.
might have been the one hand I could beat. Maybe
Yeah,
one.
still hanging. As Rita D still bringing up the rear here, but she's not in the super danger zone here. She's got 11 big blinds.
No, ace high. There was an ace on the board.
I'm sitting there thinking I'm going to check this whole
Here
way.
we go,
No, he
moral
just drilled the
support
queen.
and
Awesome.
some
Next
hydration
time he's gotta
incoming
hand it to you.
for Evelyn.
He's not supposed to be up on the stage. And I'll let him know. Nine fold. One fold. Two fold.
D. Evans says Chris wasn't folding to 1 barrel. I mean, maybe on the flop where you do have some weird, like, you know, backdoor gut shot, like, kind of stuff there. And if the bet is small enough, maybe he doesn't. Who knows? But I don't know. Ace Jack 5 when I have 4s
Did I say 400?
against a DP open, right?
Yeah, you
Like,
got it right.
I don't
Oh, I was
know.
right. Okay.
Feels
Here's
pretty
a-
Versus
dusty.
an EP open on no chips. I mean, I don't even think I'm thinking
six fold,
twice
eight fold.
Yeah,
about
right.
folding.
You bet 1 big blind, and I'm like, nah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I
The
mean, there
action
certainly
track.
is situations with a little bit more chips early on in the tournament where I would consider floating,
I
but
second-guessed myself.
I think given the situation,
Track is all twisted
one
up
and
around
done
here.
would have worked.
In, or do they just? How does it get on the?
So I'm.
But I also would have been willing to fire too,
And
as
she is literally back there pushing buttons.
as under the
On
gun.
the computer keyboard.
Sure.
It's the most boring job because she sees exactly
But
what
it's
I see.
sick.
And
Doesn't
that's
feel
why
good.
She doesn't see any cards. She doesn't see anything except what I
But-
see
Wow.
and what I tell
Never
her.
knew how that worked.
Yeah.
Unblocking your opponent's weak continuing range with threes is really valuable. You know, if they have a lot of like Broadway gutters and things that didn't yet connect, under pairs that would just call once, you know, it really lends itself to a small 2-barrel working really well.
3 raise, 250,000.
Yeah, very true.
It's literally the most boring job.
All right, so our 2 shortest stacks are in the blinds, and here we go. Scotty opening the low jack, suited king jack, and our first 3-bet in quite some
When I'm
time.
back there, I'm coloring and I got music going, trying to stay awake.
Oh wow.
Aggie Chris gonna take it up. I mean, I guess like a true 3-bet. We had the sort of quickie stuff that was happening earlier that was just, you know, sort of got the immediate fold. But back here over to Scotty. He's not going to play the king jack suited out of position here. Just going to let this one go. And he gets shown immediately. I mean, Aggie Chris has shown every time he's won a pot.
Yeah, that's a lot of hand to fold.
Just so you guys know, all my friends are going to tell me,
You know,
"Quit showing the damn cards.
I would probably
Show cards. Why
be a
you do
flop,
that?"
but I can understand with the 2 short stacks, it's just really, you're really just disincentivized from continuing.
Guarantee I'm going to hear it later.
But especially suited, I think king jack is a good continue there for the price.
Yeah.
You'll just have a lot of visibility moving forward.
That's the only tell.
It's not entirely true.
And you have to be
I mean, there's some
I don't know. I would have to be really concerned that Aggie Chris could be triple barreling me off of a real hands to not continue there.
Keep hitting it off.
Sure.
5 fold.
New here, folding the king 10 in the hijack.
I managed to do it without making mistakes. 6 fold. Oh, okay.
BCF, how many runners in this? That is a good question. Let me pull that up real quick. I can answer that. There were 834 total entries into this event.
9 fold. We gotta walk.
Of which we have 8 remaining. In first place, we get $87,510.
Where's mine?
He's got the best.
Take one more peek at those payouts.
It's 705.
As our first pay jump there, just a smidge over 2K, and we go up by 3, 4, and the jumps keep getting larger and larger, but nothing too crazy. I mean, honestly, even all the way up the jump between third and second is not all too much. The jump between first and second there really sort of the wait, can this possibly be? Wait a minute. 24 to 31, 31 to 49, we jump up 18,000 and then we only go up 9. Am I?
Levels today?
That's
Are these
significant.
hour-long levels today?
I don't
Okay.
understand that, right?
No, just noticing it.
I've seen a lot of worse payouts,
Sharp like a bagel.
but that is surprising. Usually, you'd see small incremental growth to the differences going up.
Yeah, I don't
jump.
know why we would ever go up 18 and then only go up 9 after
Yeah,
that.
it just makes that ladder even more significant for those players once we get down to 4.
36
That is huge.
this one. I'm like, no, we've been doing this more than 4 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's massive. It's absolutely massive.
Mm-hmm. So about how many big blinds do we think big blind has here, visually?
I think it's going to be just sub 20. So those green chips are 500Ks. So we're talking, you know, a smidge over 2 million here. Oh no, 3 million it shows. So there must be 4 of them there.
Mm-hmm.
Even that doesn't quite seem to add up for me, but regardless, Manny is going to take this one down. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say, is that I'm looking at the PokerAtlas app on my phone, and I've got different numbers. So let me go ahead and read that off for everybody here. Everything that I see on the screen is correct up until the 31,980. Then it goes to 42,920. So I think we actually had a typo when this graphic got created. So that's 42,920, and then second is indeed 58,000. So the jump is not this massive.
Oh yeah,
jump from fourth to third.
that's really nice. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Okay, so there we go. We've got it sorted out. So 42,000, not 49 on that graphic. So it's a jump of 7, roughly 8,000 between 5th and 4th, and then goes up 11,000 and then up 16. So that's, yeah, the much more gradual incremental jump that you expect.
Early action here. Under the gun raise, under the gun 1 with aces, 3 betting.
2-fold, 3-fold.
It'll be interesting to see if Chris continues here.
And also for this large size, right?
It's big. It's very big. Normally early versus early. You could go smaller.
These hands that don't beat anything.
Very, very nice disciplined fold by Chris there. We'll be happy to see that one later.
That's where you're supposed to.
Honestly, with those stack sizes, I don't even know what I'm doing with 9s there.
Megan coming in. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
I don't know what the lowest pair I would
Congrats again.
continue with is. I'm gonna be really tight there, I think.
For sure. All right, we're going to get a dealer change here. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the upcoming events that we've got going around. The Trailblazer Tour continues here in just a couple of days with starting flights rocking and rolling 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. all the way through and beyond Christmas Day. $175 buy-in with a 25K starting stack. You also get an early bird bonus for showing up on time, 5K for that, and we've even got some add-ons in the mix. 12.5% are going to cash. 8% will advance to day 2. So if you're in or around the RGV, the Rio Grande Valley location, come on down, participate in the 60K guaranteed
This mini.
main event
and
for the
that mini.
Trailblazer Poker Tour going on down there. Also got a lot of other things going on as well. We've got the holiday shootout, 100K guarantee, kicking off here in just a couple of days. $200 buy-in with a bunch of starting flights, including some turbo flights to get into last second. Day 2 going to be on the 22nd, kicking off at 2:30 p.m. Once again, 12.5% will be in the money, 8% making it onto the day 2 there. And yeah, so whether you're in Houston or the Rio Grande Valley, we've got some really good tournaments coming for you.
For me?
And I'll pull up a few more here for you guys as well,
Button.
because
Everybody's good? All right, we're good.
a few folks up there in Dallas, an even bigger tournament going to be coming up for you guys. Speaking of the 9s here, Evelyn's going to wield them.
My apologies. Yeah, no, I definitely can't read that screen across the way. Raise 375. Seat 8 folds, seat 9 folds. Seat 1 folds. 2 folds.
Interesting spot there. Scotty, ace-9 suited just lets it go. Does make some sense, right? Ace-9 suited, just one of those hands where it's like you kind of just want to 3-bet it or fold it.
Sure. Well, and you know, Evelyn opted for 3x here, and had she min raised, he may have come along.
Yeah. All right, so for all you folks up around the Dallas and Fort Worth area, you got the New Year bang. 500K guaranteed with 10 starting flights, 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. $500 buy-in, so this is going to get juicy real quick. And you got another little extra juice there, the extra tourney, the $250 buy-in, 50K guarantee right there on New Year's Day. Kicking off at 10 a.m. So, you know, maybe you just stayed up all night and you don't even care that a tournament starts at 10 a.m. You're just ready to go. Or maybe you're an early bird and you come on in the next day, haven't had too much champagne or anything, you know, come on down. The New Year bang. 500K guarantee and the extra 50K guarantee tournament as well. With final table going to be live streamed there on New Year's Day. What could be better than that?
Seat 1 bet 275.
It would be pretty fun to play, bring in the new year, making a deep run in a tournament. It'd be a fun thing to share with people.
Oh, hell yeah. And just like kick off your tax season with a big win. Just bang, January 1, you know? Wow, what a hand we've got developing here. New and Manny wielding all of the queens, facing an open here from Aggie Chris in the small, a call from Aggie Chris. The open was from Manny in the hijack.
No single ladies here.
Definitely not. They come in
pairs.
Wes says the stream is lagging. Refresh your browser there, buddy, as I presume that's going to be on your end. All right, 850 is the 3-bet here.
No. I'm not making that say no. Seat 1 call.
And Manny just going to call. Inviting Aggie Chris to actually just peel one off here. Gets to close the action for another 475. And he's going to come along. So 3 players are going to take a